Lego Fortnite. A nice, wholesome, and relaxing game you can play with your friends to take a break and chill out. Speed running. Ladies and gentlemen, I was trying to think of some video ideas and came across the thought, has anyone actually tried to speedrun Lego Fortnite? Now this first brings up the question, what would be the goal to speedrun Lego Fortnite? The game isn't exactly the most linear thing in the world, so what do we count as the ultimate end? This is when I decided to go on my fancy schmancy computer onto speedrun.com to see if there have been any runs submitted. And as expected, not only were there a bunch of runs submitted, but also a bunch of different categories. Woohoo! Here's the thing, I didn't really like any of these categories. They're fine, they were like, find a common village, find a rare village the fastest, things like that. And the one that most aligns with what I imagine being a speedrun is to defeat a boss, but it doesn't specify which brute you have to kill. And let's just face it, there's a really big difference between a normal brute and a frost brute. After doing some research, it seemed pretty clear that everyone seems to agree that the final boss of Lego Fortnite is the Frost Brute, as it's the strongest and hardest enemy to beat. So for the purpose of this video, we're gonna be going with that. Now that we have a clear goal defined, we can do some training. And I needed this training to say the least. Basically what I did is I just went into a playground world and gave myself whatever I thought I would be using in the survival world against a Frost Brute, then spawning in a Frost Brute and fighting it. And let's just say I was, not great at the start of this. I don't know about you all, but I was never really the Dark Souls, Elden Ring type rolling around player, so this whole dodging thing was kinda new to me. I personally thought I was playing Fortnite, not Sonic the Hedgehog, but oh well. Eventually, after a little bit of practice, I was finally getting the hang of things. I learned in between punches, I had time for 3 to maybe 4 sword swings before I had to dodge again, but the thing I struggled with so much, and I mean so much, were these stupid stomps. I know they're not that hard to dodge, but for some reason in my brain, he holds his leg up there for like 10 minutes, and I'm like, when's he gonna stomp? It scares me, okay? I also learned I needed around 7 full durability wooden swords in order to take it down, which was very useful information because I didn't realize it was gonna take that many. For one guy, that's crazy. But after the grind was all said and done, I felt stronger than an anime character after doing their first 5 push-ups. So then what's the plan? Step 1, load into a random world. Step 2, collect materials to make swords, a bed, things like that. Step 3, find a snow biome and an ice brute. Step 4, place a bed near a frost brute. And step 5, slay! That was my genius plan, but it's not really what happened at all. The first real hiccup I noticed is you can't place a bed until you build a simple shack for some reason. So then I had to configure in getting about 12 or 13 wood to build the shack and then another 10 to build the bed. Oh well, surely it doesn't get any worse. Oh yeah. It also guaranteed rains every single night, so I have to have a bed over my workstations and bed or else they're useless. And after making it through these stages, I was on to find my very first brute, and there he is. I quickly placed my bed, put a roof over it, and then it was time to take it down. Uh-oh. Why'd it despawn?
All our food keeps blowing.
Apparently, if you're by yourself in a Lego Fortnite world, when something kills you, it despawns. What the heck? This means I now have to beat the brute without taking a single hit of damage while being one-shot the whole time and using a wooden sword. No other weapons, unless if I just find something randomly in a chest. How am I gonna do that? Things were actually going really well, and I eventually learned the lesson of don't get hit at all. I already knew that. I was ready to just give up and make another top 5 video, but no. I couldn't accept defeat, because I had one secret weapon I'd been hiding all along. My girlfriend. Well, kinda. After some last minute testing, I learned that as long as someone else is in your world, when something kills you, it doesn't despawn. Which means I can 1, get onto my Nintendo Switch, log into my girlfriend's Fortnite account, and then 3, join the world I'm speedrunning on with my girlfriend's account, and then just sit there and do nothing. No interference with the speedrun, it's simply just being there. And by just being there, I can now respawn, which means we're back in it. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, after a few hours of trying, here is my best speedrun I could get. Okay, we can do this. Ready, set, go! I started by gathering some wood and granite off the ground, that way I can make a campfire, a workstation, things like that. This is one of the most important things in the speedrun because in order to make 7 swords, I have to process 35 wood, and that takes a long time. But after about 2 minutes, I had enough resources to go ahead and set up a little camp with a workstation and get some of that wood processing. Once I had a decent amount of wood processing, I went ahead and started building the simple shack, that way I could unlock the bed recipe. Shack for bed, which as we mentioned gives me the ability to respawn after the brute eventually kills me. Boom. Okay, now we can place a bed About to get a sword. And after building the shack, I had enough wooden rods to make my first sword. But I did not have enough wooden rods to make 7 swords, so I needed to go farm a little more wood, and this sword made it go way faster. Once I had enough, I went ahead, threw it in the processor, and made my way to the snow biome to go ahead and find a brute while my swords were still crafting. And in pretty much no time, I saw the brute icon on my visual sounds, so I knew there was one nearby. Oh, boss. We have a boss. Now that I knew where the brute was, I went ahead and placed a bed real quick so I didn't forget, and headed back to grab my swords. By the time I made it back, it was raining, which meant I had to put a roof over everything before I could actually build the swords, which was annoying. But once I did all that, I made my swords and was on my way. 7 swords in a dream, I was ready to take this thing on. But little did I know, my biggest enemy for the next few minutes wouldn't actually be the brute. It would be the weather. But despite my rapidly decreasing health bar, I pressed on. I knew I had to start fighting this thing soon if I wanted to call this thing a speedrun. And I was very quickly humbled. Okay. I respawned and was finally getting some decent damage in, and lucky for me, the brute ended up killing an enemy that was holding an uncommon sword, so I was able to use that for a little bit in order to do 5 damage instead of 3. Shout out to this wolf as well for MVPing while I was healing. It didn't do a lot, but it at least took the pressure off of me. Ouch. To be honest, the next little bit was pretty uneventful. It was basically, I went in, swung my sword a few times, and then died. Temperature really just made this a nightmare. This is gonna be really painful until the sun comes out, and it's okay. That's just kind of the nature of this, though. It's just the freezing shreds you. But then the sun finally came up, and we were fighting in my domain. Oh yes, it's only cold now. And probably my best decision throughout this whole thing, I saw a nearby group of knights and decided to lure the brute over to the knights so that they could deal some damage to it and get some pressure off of me. And well, that they did. Fight him. Fight him. Give me their weapons. They annihilated this thing's health bar. This is actually kind of a blessing that these guys showed up, because they're doing stuff. And then once they were eliminated, I was able to grab their weapons and use them myself. Oh yeah, it's all coming together. My timing was on point, my dodges were incredible, I was ready to take this thing out. Sword will be breaking soon. Oh my gosh, he's almost dead. He was almost dead. All I had to do was hit the finishing blow, and 20 minutes and 55 seconds later, I had officially beaten LEGO Fortnite. Yes! Yes! Fun fact, only 1.4% of you guys are actually subscribed to my channel. That means if we can get that number somewhere closer to maybe 20%, I would have around 100,000 subscribers. So please, if you made it this far and enjoyed the video, please consider subscribing. I work really hard to make these videos and I'd really appreciate it. Anyways, as always, I hope you enjoyed and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye!